individual news posted on the borough website and filed with the borough agreement. Council members Brophy,
Here.
Harris, Correa,
Here.
Hayes,
Here.
Vitelme,
Here.
Delafield,
Here.
Mayor Quinn.
Here. Can I get a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Here you go.
All items with an asterisk are considered to be non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one vote. There may be further discussion prior to the vote upon request of a member of the public or council member. Also, any item may be removed for further discussion or for roll call vote, in which case the item will be removed and considered in the closed session as part of the general order of business. Number 94, approval of 2013 LoSAP contribution revised to $46,895. Friends of the Shade Tree, authorization to submit application of there was previously approved. Number 96, approval of hiring DPW seasonal workers at $10 per hour. Number 97, authorization of optional direct deposit for municipal employees. Number 98, approval of hiring Michael Shell as a per diem dispatcher, $12.75 per hour, no benefits. Number 99, approval of hiring Michael Jackson as a per diem dispatcher, $12 per hour, no benefits. Number 100, approval of hiring Duran Fiducian as a per diem dispatcher, $14 per hour, no benefits.
Any comments or questions by members of council on any resolution?
On 1495, that one with the authorization to submit to the joint. What exactly is that going to entail? Because the way, remember last time I asked Paul, I wanted a better understanding. What exactly is that?
It's not an additional.
Because it sounds like it's their group plus the friends of their group.
It's the friends of the Shade Tree. Under the joint insurance fund, they would become under our umbrella at no additional cost.
All right. But wait, first, I made some notes. Now is this when if they get hurt while they're doing the fundraising and things of this nature?
Yeah, I mean, if
And then it says non-vehicle thing?
yeah, they get no vehicles. It doesn't cover anybody's vehicles. If for some reason they're doing something at the walk, or there's an issue where they do something that could be liable to the borough, we'd have coverage.
All right, so it's no like personal insurance as far as when they're driving around in their own personal cars and they're going to look at trees.
No,
like that.
they're not the ones looking at the trees.
Yeah.
Shade Tree commissioners.
Okay, this is the only question.
And also, if I have to abstain from this because I'm a board member of the Shade Tree. From the council.
And just for clarification, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, please.
14-98, -99, and 100. There's three different prices that with the experience that Joe had spoken about.
Right.
Different experience, different rate. Okay.
Yeah, based on their interviews and their background checks.
All right.
Background checks and experience also.
Correct.
That was one of my questions too. On the 1496, how many temporary employees do we hire?
4.
Seasonal. 4?
We used to hire 6, we're down to 4.
And they run us through the fall?
Right through the leaf season.
Any other comments, questions from members of council? Could I get a motion to open to the public just on resolutions?
I'll make a motion up to the public.
At this time, anyone has a question or comment on just the resolutions? Just state your name. Seeing none, could I get a motion to close the public?
Motion to close the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Could I get a motion to approve all the resolutions on the agenda?
I think
With the exception of 1495, right?
it has to be closed.
95 is not concerned about the policy.
Okay.
Motion to accept the revised consent agenda.
Second.
Without 1495?
Yes.
Okay.
Roll call.
Council members Brophy,
Yes.
Correa,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Vitelme,
Yes.
Delafield.
Yes.
Could I get a motion to approve 1495, resolution 1495?
Motion to approve 1495.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members Brophy,
Yes.
Correa,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Vitelme,
Abstain.
and Delafield.
Yes.
Okay, second reading of ordinance 1471, Borough of Dumont, calendar year 2014. ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Can I get a motion to waive the formal reading?
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion from the council? Seeing none, can I get a motion open to the public?
Motion open to public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, if anyone from the public would like to comment or question just this ordinance, ordinance number 1471. Seeing no comments, can I get a motion to close?
Motion to close the vote.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to adopt on the second reading?
Motion to adopt on second reading, 1471.
Second.
Second.
Councilmembers Brophy,
Yes.
Correa,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Patel,
Yes.
Damachevsky.
Yes.
John?
Back in the public now?
Hmm?
And that you're gonna do our reports, or we go into public?
Let's do our reports.
Okay, thank you. I spoke to Jamie O'Neill with regards to the pool. According to Dumont Pool Management, they've met with Bergenfield to look at possibly some type of a joint venture. There's a possibility Bergenfield's pool will not open this year. They've got a crack in the pool, which they do not believe is going to be able to be addressed by opening day. There is discussion going on between Dumont and Bergenfield about having seasonal membership for Bergenfield residents that want to join, which could bring in approximately $30,000 to the Dumont pool. There's still negotiations going on. I've asked Jamie for a detailed report as to what their meeting was about and what steps they've taken since we discussed this, which was the middle of last week. I haven't got anything yet, but there is something going on there. So more to come on that. The new senior bus should be delivered, if not Friday, by the early part of next week. We are going to discuss, the engineer doesn't know this yet, but we are going to discuss Safe Routes to School program that the Department of Transportation has opened for 2014-15 round. We will look at possible programs that we might be able to do, and we'll bring in the police department to discuss that as well. And that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Justin?
Thank you. Just to update you on the Memorial Park project. Fence replacement is coming along. We're in the home stretch now. The Babe Ruth field is substantially complete right now. We have run into some issues when we tested the field lightings. We're working to resolve those. But the fence is complete. The Little League field, we're working to have that complete by Saturday, so that it is able to be used for Little League. Some items such as the batting cage will not be installed in order that's outside the field of play, and we will work to get that completed as soon as possible. As for the tennis court, the fence is up. We're also looking to resurface the tennis court. We're waiting for the weather to warm up. It's got to be an average temperature of 55 degrees and rising. We're getting close to that, so I'll reach out to the contractor and see if we can get a schedule for that. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Council committee reports. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor. Last meeting, the budget was introduced for 2014, and it was introduced at $113 per household, based on a $307,000 average home in the town of Dumont. In my report that I submitted, I apologize, I was not able to make the last meeting, but in that report, the main increases to the town are in the salary and wage departments, contractually obligated, with the police department, DPW, then increases in the trash removal in our contract for 2014. And then we had increases in certain county utilities, processing our water, with an increase in flow, as well as an increase in rate from the BCUA. Those totaled approximately $616,000 in increases over last year's budget. And they were the main contributors to the increase in the tax since that time, we've met again. We found that one police officer retiring is going to bring a savings to that salary increase line. We also have some new pension numbers in, which reflected favorably for the town, to more than $100,000 in savings. And we had some unanticipated FEMA money from a storm in 2011 that came our way. And so applying those to the current budget and reducing those increases is going to bring the average tax increase per $307,000 home to $48.75, down from $113 a year. I'm not going to say that that's 100% set in stone right now, but we do have a couple of Sean's having a department head meeting tomorrow. Barbara wants to speak on a couple of things in the budget that we're proposing, and a couple of the department heads that are going to want to speak on their concerns. They'll certainly entertain anything that would cause a significant loss of service to the town. This committee went in, as soon as we hit our target of being under $50, we certainly don't want to go back above that, so we're going to do everything we can to hold that number. That's my report.
Thanks, Bill. Councilwoman Craig.
I'm gonna give my, reports at the public meeting next week.
Councilman Hayes.
All right, well, most of the stuff on recreation has already been discussed. I think everybody knows that we had trouble with the fields and everything like that, so over the last 2 weeks, myself as well as Raphael and with John, I spoke to all the people in recreation, Rich Carrera, Tony Como, and about the fields, I reported back to John. John got on the phone with the engineer, and everything went on and on, somewhat behind the scenes for like the last week and a half, but it seems that thanks to John and all the persons involved, the issues have been addressed and they're all being taken care of, and hopefully if the rain holds out, we'll have opening day Saturday and kids can play instead of swim on the baseball fields. All right, as far as on the land use board, joint land use board met March 25th, and the only discussions pertaining to that was they conducted some business and some correspondence and just finalizing minutes of the past couple of meetings. There were a few concerned residents naturally from on the D'Angelo Farms property. The lawyer as well as the chairman tried to answer their questions on what they are allowed to say and what they actually know, which unfortunately at this stage, and even everybody on the council is frustrated. Nobody really knows, but I thought it went very well. I thought the residents seemed to be somewhat satisfied, understanding that we're limited on what we know because we really don't know anything. That's all I have to report.
Okay. Councilor Conlon.
The police committee met with the chief of police to discuss the staff shortage. He had an officer that resigned, and he also had a lieutenant that retired. So his recommendation is to add two new officers to the police force. If approved by the council, the chief wants to start the interview process as soon as possible.
Councilwoman Zamichensky.
I'll take my report. I just want to put about 2 dates. The Easter egg hunt is April 12th at 10 o'clock at Memorial Park, and April 27th from 1 until 3 is the park dedication to Dawn Patton up at Columbia Field. That's all. Thank you.
Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of items. Tomorrow morning, I'll be in court on the police promotion lawsuit. There are motions being heard by the court to dismiss the case for failure to state a claim on which relief can be granted. I'll have more to report after that. I can also discuss further in closed session with you. And on the landmark buildings remedy litigation, we filed a motion last week, returnable Friday, April 11th, to state of proceedings pending further advice from COA on what the third round is going to look like as far as the obligations of the town and all of that. So more to come on that in a couple of weeks. I can answer other questions on that in closed session as well. That's all I have for right now.
Can I get a motion to open to the public?
Motion open to public.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This time, if anyone from the public has any comments or questions for the mayor and council, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi.
Marianne? We know your name?
Mary Emersini, 141 Roosevelt. I was here last meeting, and I thought the residents of Roosevelt were going to get a letter to meet with you, Mr. Mayor. We haven't received that letter yet.
I'm putting together because I want to make sure we get all the residents on Roosevelt as well. I want to have a conversation with our engineer to make sure that that's all in place and that we have the money to create that line for you, and then that you can feed into it. So if you just give me like another week, I'll have that all said and done.
Okay.
Okay.
So basically that is going to be the option that the town is going to present the pipe, and then we...
It will be presented as a resolution for the council to vote on. It would appear that everyone's in favor of that, and I think the money is already there, so we're not actually spending any additional money to have this done. And then the option will be for the residents to, anyone who wants to feed into that line, we can get a group together and we can find a landscaper that'll do a group project and keep the cost down. That's where we're hoping we can help you with.
Okay.
Could I just say something real quick?
You have to say your name.
I'm sorry?
You have to...
My name's Ed Rossini. I'm her brother.
141
What do you call, my parents bought the house in 1963. They painted the whole base part. Right now it's beige. Right now you can see 2 cement cylinders. So the soil has gone down that much that the foundation, it's affecting all this rain and everything. My sister's been fighting I don't know how many years. My father passed away in '05. She's still been fighting since then. The bugs, the gnats, everything that's being drawn there, it's like living in the sewers of France. It's disgusting. Every time it's disgusting. It takes 2 weeks. It's war-torn. And this is Dumont, New Jersey. I grew up here. I went to St. Mary's. And I come here and I feel like I'd rather go to the Bronx and visit. It's disgusting. And I just can't believe nothing's being done. I just can't believe everybody just sits around, and I don't understand why. Common sense. You see paint. It stops here. This much was underground 10 years ago. It's not there anymore. How do you explain that if for anything? And I just don't understand why it's citizens. I don't understand why people have to have backyard pools. Yesterday, I wish I took a picture. It was disgusting. And my sister's sitting there using her money, pumping it out, and all the neighbors' water is floating into the yard. So she's doing the whole Roosevelt Avenue on her dime, and it's embarrassing. I mean, I'm embarrassed. Like I said, I'm a true Dumont person. I probably recognize half the people here. I grew up here. I went to, I've always had pride in Dumont. I'm here because every week she comes home depressed. My parents bought the house. My father was a crossing guard. He has bricks up in Memorial Park, which we are redoing, that my parents paid for and stuff like that. And I just hate to have this black cloud with my vision of Dumont. Because, I don't know why. There has to be a resolution, and it shouldn't be at the homeowner's expense. We used to have a pear tree. Nothing can even stay solid there. Everything falls over. And this is the way they're expecting people to live in Dumont. I don't see it. That's all I have to say. I just don't understand it.
I'm good.
Anyone else?
Debbie Tamboro, 125 Roosevelt Avenue. I've been here a lot with Mary Ann too. I'm assuming that's the new engineer in the corner. Hi, how are you? One question we were wondering is about going way back when we didn't have this situation, if we can find out how to regrade the area so this doesn't happen. Like many folks, I am single. I own my own home. It's very difficult. I have the best niece and nephew that you can imagine, and I appreciate they are in all sports. But I have to tell you that it kind of hit my heart when I heard that we are concerned about the water there. And I understand, believe you me, no one lives more than my niece and my nephew in my heart, and that's their life. But this is my home, and I know what my home was thinking. We've been through this for so many times, I won't be repetitive. My garage now no longer has a half a devil coming up. The whole devil came up at the last big storm. I had to spend $5,000
in French drains just to keep the water out of my house. It pumps all the time. I'm happy that it pumps because I know water's not going to get in my house. I have a mother who gets upset because she's like, oh my God, you're going to get water. And I'm just like, thank God it works. But I had to spend that much money. And I've been here a lot with Mary Ann. There have been pictures. Councilmen have come. Mayor has come. I'm not that intelligent. I had my brother come to try to understand what was going on. There was all these propositions. There has to be something done because none of us can afford it. And you know what? We are not walking alone anymore, Mary Ann and I, because we have a lot of people here that are from Roosevelt area. And, you know, I don't mean to just point at you. I'm just staring at you because you're there and I'm sorry. And I believe in the field, but you know, the first thing I sat there was like, yeah, the kids, I think it said at the last mayor and council meeting, I'm the only person who doesn't have kids who always votes for the school school budget because I want it to be great. But, you know, there comes a point now where what's happening? You know, I mean, we have homes that we're losing, you know what I mean? I can't sit in my backyard like Mr. Rossini said because there's bugs and it's just water ridden, you know? And literally, and I'm not kidding, you can come and visit, although I said the last time no more pictures, no more visits because I was sick of it. It's now the middle of, I mean, my garage is going to fall apart. And there's got to be a resolution, and I'm sorry. $5,000 for all of us. There's a new neighbor in town who had a very difficult situation, and he had to put in French drains. You know, this is a lot of money to ask, and we've been fighting this fight for so long. I would think you would just want to be satisfied and get rid of us and try to come up with a solution, because I'm
Not
sure
even get rid. You should always have pride in your hometown.
Well, yeah.
This is the whole thing. It shouldn't be about getting rid of. We're all active members of Dumont. We all grew up. Me and her, we went to grammar school together. Okay? Everybody believes in the town. But now the town has to believe in us and be there. You have to give us something to believe in. But if you're asking us to have a barbecue and kill gnats and have to wear, you know, screened-in backyard just to have a barbecue in the summertime, how fair is that? What quality of life is that? What are you expecting out of your citizens?
Right.
You know, we want to be at the egg hunt. We want to be at Dumont Day. We want to wave those flags. But how can you when you're pitching water out of your basement?
Right.
And this is, you know, this is just what I'm very confused about it. This is my first time here. I know nothing, you know. I've never met any of you, but this is why, but I've been watching the fight every day, and I've been, you know, picking up a pump and brushing water for the past 2 days to make sure that there's no mildew downstairs. I'm sitting there scrubbing the basement boards because the white is coming up from mildew from all this smell. How disgusting is this? You can't go away for a week because if there's a flood, who knows what you're going to come home to? That's the quality of life that we're expected to live.
It is really, what I meant to say is that don't you want to get rid of us because we're not going to stop the fight. And now we're getting bigger and stronger. I was redoing my house was sinking. I didn't know who the building inspector was at the time, and I had to call the fire department because there was so much water purging. And Steve was nice enough to say to me, you know, I know of what's going on upstairs. I promise you it won't get up that high. And I was like, how do you know that? And he's like, I'm the building inspector. I know you're doing your house. And I said, oh, okay. They had to leave. And my father, my brother, both citizens in this town, we stayed up for 24 hours. And it's just deplorable. It really is. And I really don't mean to say take away from the parks. Please don't think so, parents, because, like I said, my niece and nephew are so athletic. It's unbelievable, and they live for it. But I have to tell you, you're putting a baseball field in front of people who are going to get sick. And I don't really think that's correct. And I don't think that we should have to pay $5,000. I paid enough. I can't. You want me to pay $5,000 for that line? I will. Then have someone come and fix my garage because it's falling apart and I can't use it. And I guess, I don't know much about taxes, but I'm assuming I'm paying taxes on having that garage. So, I'm here to stay. Nobody walks alone. Thank you everybody from Roosevelt for coming. And we're going to fight the fight and try to see if we can all work it out. But there's got gotta be money that comes, you know, that's going on. I mean, I've lived in this town since I was 4 or 5 years old. I'm now 53. And, or we could close it so that we can make a joke. But, you know, I just see it going down, you know. I chose to stay here in Dumont and refix my house. And, let me just take a breath.
Want water?
No. I have to breathe. It was redoing my house. I'm sorry. When I get angry, I cry, so don't get. And my ex-husband had to do my plumbing, and he said to me, "Why would you do this to Dumont? Because Dumont is such a terrible town." And I said to him, "You know what? I think this is the greatest town in the world, and I never want to leave here because this is my town and my home." And you know, that stuck with me because I was so angry, you know, that Midland Park, you know, was allegedly better than Dumont. And I've never felt that way. I am so proud. I am a nurse, and when I tell my patients where I live, I'm proud to say I live in Dumont. And I'm sorry to say that I'm not so proud anymore. I'm sorry. I'm Italian and I cry a lot. And if you knew my brother, he's totally opposite. He never cries, but I hope he can help us because I'm tired. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Rachel Lennon,
Yeah,
Poplar
hold
Street.
it.
No, it's right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Stop bossing everybody around.
What?
I'm getting used to that, actually. Okay, the mayor and council, first of all, thank you for allowing me to speak. And specifically the Joint Land Use Board last week keeps asking why we, meaning the people that are very deeply concerned about D'Angelo's property proposals, keep showing up. And I just wanted to restate to you that we want you to know that we are your allies. Like, our group is growing, and we want to work with you to resolve this in a viable and acceptable solution for the town of Dumont. And listening to you speak, I mean, we've been meeting a lot of people now because of the work that we're doing, trying to raise awareness. And your story resonates across the whole town. I run into people, 3rd, 4th generation Dumont people, they want to stay in town. They love this town, they were raised here, and what I'm hearing when they hear about what's possibly going to happen to D'Angelo's property is those that can leave will leave, those that can't afford to stay because of the tax increase that will result from the development will be forced to leave. And that is just sad. I'm in town 30 years as of last week. I can't believe I've done anything for 30 years, but I did that. And we want you to know that we do care about the town, and we believe the current proposal of 12 units per acre is not acceptable. We don't believe that's an acceptable solution. And when you were talking about flooding, my thought was, oh my God, that could be people on Stratford and Andover and Wilkins and all that here in 10 years if they put housing on that land, and all the water's just going to have nowhere to go except into their basements. And then what you were talking, I don't know Roosevelt, I should, but we know a really good place to put a field if anybody wants. There's a big piece of land right at the north end of town. So all I want to say is that we are your allies. Our group is growing, and we want to work with you and come up with a solution to D'Angelo's farm property. We believe there are options other than building high-density apartments on that land, and use us as a resource. We certainly use you as a resource. You represent us, and that's what I want to say today. Thank you.
Anyone else? Sir?
Kai Chen, 90 Teak Road. Mr. Mayor, I have a question regarding council member attendance. Could you, or maybe Mr. Pastor, clarify what is the criteria for attendance for any member of council or any of the official members that whose attendance is required or is not required?
I think you can only miss 8 meetings.
I think that's, I checked out the ordinance recently, and I think that's right.
Okay.
In a year? In a year.
All right.
Calendar year or
Calendar year or calendar term?
I believe it's in the calendar year, but attendance by phone does constitute attendance at a meeting, so that's it.
Mr. Pastor, is that anywhere on the on the books?
It is in the Dumont Borough Code, which is there's a link to it on the website.
Specifically about phone?
No, that's just there's really no statute or law on that. That's just kind of custom, and it varies from body to body. But this body has traditionally allowed phone attendance.
All right, so phone attendance could be constituted as 100% attendance.
The requirement is that they are there on the phone for the entire meeting.
Okay.
So they can't just jump in, vote on something.
And then leave.
Call to order to adjournment.
Okay.
And basically, we have the speakerphone out there, so they
Okay.
call in. I'm not a big fan of that, but
Okay.
there are some circumstances where if a member wants to be part of the meeting and can't physically be here,
Okay,
with
so
our technology today.
okay, so there are some allowances granted, but is this something that's allowed on an ongoing basis?
It's something that I've had discussions with as to how far or how often this should happen, and I'll leave that up to the members of the council to decide if maybe there's an amount of time. Maybe we can redo the ordinance to say only X amount of times can be by phone, by telecommunications. I like to see and hear and breathe, the person being there.
Obviously, because as far as the members of the public are concerned,
They don't even
if
know
you're not
it's
here,
there.
yeah.
No, I don't disagree. But so, I don't agree that he shouldn't, or him or she.
No,
not
I'm
participate
not
at
talking about
any
anybody
point,
in particular.
Especially if it's an important subject on the agenda that we'd like to have input from all members of the council. If it's your, everyday run-of-the-mill meeting, which we're probably not going to have any of those for a long time, I would like to have everyone here so everyone can have their input and everyone can let us know what their feelings are.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any
I'd
other
like to
members
say
of the public?
something, if
Sir.
you don't mind. George Rafferty, I'm 34 Blanche Court in Dumont. I've heard about the proposed apartments for the D'Angelo Farms property. I was wondering if the town has come up with another proposal, and something slightly smaller, because I can't understand why the town would want to even think about having a larger fire department for all these, once you get this dense population in there in this one place, plus an additional people on the fire department, plus probably additional rooms to be added on to the schools. And I would think that regular housing, like what's in 98% of the town, would be apropos for that piece of property. And I think it's for the benefit of the town, plus the benefit of the taxpayers of the town. I mean, we're not going to say nothing is going to be built on the property, but I don't think you need a dense type of development to be built on this type of property. So that's my comment. What do you do, sir? And I'd like to see the town think about what the property owners would have to pick up in taxes and whatnot, and what the town would have to pick up to accommodate this type of property that would be built on D'Angelo Farms.
Or would you be able to have single lane roads? I mean,
Excuse me.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, right?
Say again?
I'm not for that.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, roads. I mean, yeah, of course.
Any other comments, questions?
I have one, Lily Binney, 32 Roxbury. I have one question. I think maybe Greg can answer it. Maybe he's the only one that can answer it by law with this lawsuit. Rolling back the calendar to August of 2013 and forgetting about D'Angelo's, are we short any COA units, I'm still trying to figure this out, are we short any COA units for round one? If so, how many?
No, we're compliant with rounds 1 and 2.
Oh, so we're compliant with 2 also?
Correct.
Aha, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sure.
Jerry DeRusso, 85 DeLong Avenue. If the property gets rezoned as residential, do you foresee any problems in rolling back the farm abatement that the property got?
Well, it would be on a go-forward basis, so it would be taxable.
It's not going back 2 years? Because I thought I was reading it, I thought it's for the current year, and you can go back 2 more years.
Well, there's an appeal pending on the property for the current farm assessment, but if it were rezoned, then it would be reassessed under the new zone going forward. It wouldn't go back. You can't assess something on a zoning designation prior to the designation.
Because I was researching, I could have sworn that you can go back, even on the farmland application, it says that you can, it's for the current year and then go back 2 years, get it to market value.
You know, I frankly don't do the tax work in town, so I consult with the tax appeal council and ask, but I'm not familiar with that.
And then the other question, I mean, are we gonna use if it gets rezoned, are we gonna use the town assessor, or are you gonna go outside to hire an appraiser to give an assessment of that property?
I would imagine they would work in conjunction with one another. The assessor uses the appraiser to...
Well, are we gonna go outside of...
We have an outside
Yeah.
borough appraiser
Okay.
who handles that type of work when there are tax appeals filed and things like that. If we need to have somebody appear in court, the appraiser is our expert. The assessor is a borough employee who handles the assessments and basically is for lack of a better term, a bureaucrat, whereas the appraiser is actually a real estate expert who does what you know as an appraisal. When you get a refinance on your house, they go out, compare, they figure out why one is higher, one is lower, and that sort of thing.
Because BMW just had an issue about their taxes getting rolled back, and they added, what is that? Woodcliff Lake, and I believe you can go back, they can roll them back 2 years.
That's true, but they've been zoned the way they're zoned for a long time. You can't rezone a property, to my knowledge, and then try and assess the property back 2 years before it was rezoned for that designation. You understand what I'm saying?
You know, I understand what you mean, but all right, I'll take that.
It's possible. I'll run it through the appeal council and see what he thinks.
Thank you.
Mayor Kelly, I think, what is your name?
Jerry.
Jerry. Believe me. I think what he's talking about is something I just learned about today, called the farmland rollback taxes. And apparently, if my information is correct, when a land no longer qualifies for farmland, I guess each summer, or I don't know, they have to sell $500 worth of produce to qualify. And if they don't, by X amount, then for the next year, they are charged an added assessment, no longer as a farm. And there's some bizarre caveat in the state of New Jersey, which is not very fair, but they go back 2 earlier years and charge them also, even if they were a farm there. So apparently, D'Angelo's will be charged for 2012, 13, and 14, not as a tax. It's the farmland rollback, Jerry.
Right.
That's what you want.
If that's what you're talking about,
Yeah.
yes. If they're no longer a functioning farm and no longer doing that threshold $500 worth of farm produce sales, then yes, then the rollback applies. I didn't understand the way you were phrasing it, but you're absolutely right. Sorry.
Anyone else? Sir?
Mechanic office in Cherokee Street, New Jersey.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
I'm a mechanic file.
We just have to have you on
Your mic here.
This one's up.
Speak loud.
All right, thank you. I assume everybody has a copy of
Yep.
what I was sent. I was late because I couldn't find a parking spot out in front. And I would like to know what everybody's input is on this. Seeing that I missed it, I don't know if I'm up for
We actually discussed this.
discussion or what.
No, we're gonna go ahead and talk about it.
Okay.
You wanna discuss what your
No,
issues are?
well, I know what my issue is.
This-
So you.
Mr. Pampile came into my office and we spoke about the fact that he is a resident in town, homeowner, owns his own business, has a service truck that he parks in his driveway with a lot of tools in it. I'm not going to get into the value of it.
Yeah, it's good value, it's a lot.
Over a lot of tools. A lot of money involved in it. And his concern was that he had been approached by property maintenance because the truck has commercial plates on it, that he's not allowed to park on his property. And this seems to be a growing concern in the borough, where people have their own business. Some of them are service people that work for another company, and they're obligated in some cases to park their trucks on their properties, or at least find some place that's a secure area. There's not a lot of secure areas to park in the borough, and Mr. Pampile has some concerns about having to move his vehicle off-site when it's his own business. There are towns around, and Maywood was one of them when I was the administrator there, where if you could prove that the vehicle was yours, owned by your company, and you were a resident, that you were able to park on your property. You could not bring a service truck home from the company that you worked for. You'd have to go back to the yard or whatever. But there's been a growing concern about people that reside in town and have these service vehicles on their property. So I asked him to send some information, which he did, which I supplied you, and wanted to see whether or not there was any consideration, if you had a chance to review it. If not, we can, if Mr. Pampine wants to make comment, make further comment, fine, but if not, maybe it's something we need to discuss further. This would have to be an ordinance change if in fact you wanted to see some type of relief here. But it is a growing concern in the borough, I can tell you that. And
Right.
Steve is here, so he knows as well.
Mrs. Pampile called me, and my first question was it parked on the driveway? It wasn't on the lawn. Steve and I spoke, and I guess he got back in touch with you, and I think this is a very valid point. And we appreciate you calling us, and, you know, things change, things come up, and I think it's very valid.
Has everyone else had an opportunity to?
I had just to add on to what Ellen does. If you go around town, Dumont still is basically a blue-collar town. We have massive amount of electricians, trucks, plumbing trucks, some big, some small, some dual axles. We even have some small straight trucks for builders. And I think maybe the ordinance should be a little too strict in some regards. I think actually the residents live in town. If it's their personal vehicle, I for one would be, tinkering it or changing or adjusting it. So in other words, like I drive an 18-wheeler. Now I know that's not my own personal one, so I can't bring that into my driveway, even though it's a very pretty tractor. But like in Mr. Pampile's case, with
Your driveway is that big?
What?
Your driveway is that big?
And like Mr. Pampile's case, and a lot of different vehicles I've seen around town, the plumbers and stuff like that. I think it probably is time. This is an old ordinance, it's been on books for quite a few years.
Right,
I think we should tinker with it.
What I'd like to do is have our ordinance committee.
Can you tell you
That was
what
our ordinance
committee?
Just look at the ordinance as it shows now, and we'll have a further discussion amongst the members of the council. I'll ask Steve to not give you any tickets or anything until we have decided
We had the
what's
discussion
the,
amongst us already. I've gone around town to do my research, so when they come back with tinker and that, either whether they tinker with the GVW or actually how that's written, it says dual axle. That would be a tandem axle. I don't know whether that's meant to be dual wheel or dual axle. The way that's worded, I don't know who tinkered with that one. All right. There's a lot of trucks around that are over our weight limit and are parked in people's driveways. And I doubt very highly anybody else made a stink, because I'm the only one here.
I'll rely on Steve to give me information, because I think he knows probably about every truck that might or may not be illegally parked in our driveways.
We've given out over 3,000 violations last year.
So let our ordinance committee take a look at the ordinance as well as what you have given us, and we may reach out to you for more guidance, since I couldn't tell a dual axle from a quadruple axle myself, but
We've got enough knowledgeable people, not only on the council, but I'm sure standing in this room.
no, absolutely. So let us take a look at that, and we will consider an amendment or possibly changing the ordinance.
Also, let me add to this it's being recorded. I've lived in town for 27 years. All of the 27 years I have had a service truck, whether it was up on Lexington Avenue or where I am now at Cherokee Street. So now the vehicle just got bigger in the last 10 years. It's not going to get any bigger, because this is it, you know. I'm in a home stretch, so this is it.
Okay.
And not working yet. I'm hoping to go back in another month.
Just a question on the wording of this. I think it's the 9,500 pounds to 18,000 pounds. Is that the next designation in succession by the Motor Vehicle Commission? Or is there something in between 9,500
The 9,500 GVW is probably something somebody came up with, because 9,500, I lived in Washington Township 30 years ago, and they went out on a ticketing blitz and issued tickets. John and I had this conversation, and he just looked at me, how could they do that, John? No ordinance on the books, and they went out and they issued tickets, vans, pickup trucks, just because they didn't want them. And what it came down to was that a guy would snap on a tool truck and two guys would tractor trailers. Guys weren't bringing the trailers home, but they were bringing the tractor home. Well, instead of saying, we don't want this, they just without an ordinance.
Okay.
And we, myself and a handful of guys, helped them draft the ordinance. And if you look at the ordinance as it stands now, it's a joke, because we drafted it and they bought it. They weren't very smart. Neither was the borough attorney at the time, because he wouldn't even give us any input on it. But I believe the next step up is 9,500. I would think the next step up is 10,000. And then from there it's 10, 12 increments of 2,000.
Okay. So we'll discuss it as a committee,
Yeah,
ordinance committee.
just add that with the maximum gross weight in commercial vehicles, New Jersey Motor Vehicle sets the weights, and these are all weights.
Okay.
Because this ordinance was back in like the 80s when Eddie Orr was the councilman. That's when they originally drafted this. I was on the zoning board at the time when they were tinkering with this ordinance with because they were worried about all the different vehicles, commercial vehicles coming in town.
Well, I think the idea is the town doesn't want people operating businesses
Oh, no, I
out of their
understand why,
home,
yeah.
and that's the premise.
Well, we were getting like tractor trailers.
Right. If you have the proof that you actually have another business location, you're just driving the truck home at night, that's pretty harmless.
Yeah, well, I was around back then on the boards, and this is when this all started coming up. We had tractor trailers parked all over the place, and huge straight trucks, and excuse me, big moving vans, and it started to get a little crazy. So that's why they tried to do it. He is right though. It was supposed to have been written dual wheels and dual tandems. This way you covered both aspects of the commercial vehicles. So you are right. They looked at the dual wheels. And nowadays, that would really fit well, in all honesty, because so many of the 4x4s now, even the larger pickups that aren't that big, they have dual wheels. That's all. Just gotta give a little.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
Is that it, Tom? Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Tom.
I just have one more thing, Mary Racine, 141 Roosevelt. I understand that the house down on the corner where the alley is vacant now. The woman passed away, and I heard that some of the pipes busted, and there's water in that house. Has anybody looked or been watching that house? Because it's basically, I think, abandoned right now.
No, our family's been inside the house.
And is all the water gone, and
That I could not tell you.
how do we...
That's their, it's a single family house, it's for them to take care of. We cannot go in there, we can't pump their water out, we can't
No, I'm not asking the town to pump it, but for, mold to grow and,
Can't do anything about it, it's private property.
private property.
Single family house, I can't go in there and tell them anything different. As long as they don't have the lights on, the electric to the house, water I know is definitely shut off, because the fire department was there, they're the ones that had everything filled to the house.
Okay, so there's no water going, pumping into that house. Is the electric on or no?
Everything was killed off when the fire department was there.
Okay. Alright, so we just have to wait for the smell of the mold to come and affect the block? No, I'm
If
asking
there's
a question, that's,
no,
I'm just asking.
If there's an obvious health hazard, that is when we can go in and,
Okay, just,
Can't they get a hold of the heirs?
sorry, ma'am?
Why can't you get a hold of the heirs that own the property?
I've never, I
They
don't
have
see
been
it.
made aware of it, and they have been at the
They have
house.
been there.
Okay,
So,
just general questions, that's all. Take care of yourself.
I'll speak again. Debbie Tamboro, 125 Roosevelt Avenue. In regard to that house, whether or not if you can go in or not, we live there. It doesn't look like there's anybody living there to us. And besides our water issue, that really does not look very good, to tell you the honest truth, a house like that. And there isn't anybody in there. We all know that. And I know you can't go in it. And we know that because we live there. And, it's really an eyesore. And I believe this poor new neighbor of ours really got hit, and he got welcomed down to Roosevelt Avenue, and our swimming pool. We could maybe join Bergenfield swimming pool in Roosevelt Avenue, but again, is there anything that can be done? Because, it could be a really nice house, and if it was well taken care of, but there's bushes and rodents and, my back, fence, once I saw a family of little raccoons. They were very cute. Mommy, daddy, and 4 of them in the middle of the day, headed that way. And I don't think that's safe. So,
If there's an issue of rodents, we can then go in, right?
can't say we can just go inside the house because
We
that
can
we can send
contact
them
the
something,
owner.
yes. We'll
Okay.
send the owner something. And as a matter of fact, the house actually has gotten better.
Okay.
Because we did send them to court.
Okay.
We did have, unfortunately, the old lady before she passed away here in court.
Okay.
And they did side the house and they were starting to fix up everything, and then unfortunately she got.
So you have been monitoring it? Okay. We will contact them again tomorrow with a report of rodents, and we'll take it from there. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions from the public? Seeing none, can I get a motion to close the public?
Motion closed.
Can I get a motion to go into closed session?
Motion to send closed.
April Fool.
Look in the mirror.
We're losing 1-0.
That's fun.
What inning?
Bottom of the
Oh.
bottom of, it just started.
Like you said, I can't really private property.
what else is by there?
Right, you said they went
Because the people in the store have no
You don't want to come on Friday, right? You don't want to come on Friday.
No.
Well, he just got off the phone. He's a new engineer.